Hi, everybody, and welcome to Math 2410, Applied Ordinary Differential Equations. My name is Lane McConnell. I'm going to be your instructor this semester, and I wanted to give you just sort of a quick overview of what you can expect this semester. So this is going to hopefully be a quick 10-15 minute video, and I'm going to try to lay out all of the expectations in terms of assignments, exams, how things are going to be graded, what things are going to look like on a week-to-week basis. So hang in there, try to pay attention during this video at least. I'm going to go through the syllabus as well. I've got that right up here on the screen. And if you want to get in touch with me, the best way to do that is going to be via email, lmcconnell6@cnm.edu. I try to respond to emails pretty quickly, typically within 24 hours. Occasionally on the weekend, you might not hear back from me until Monday, but I try to be pretty responsive. We're going to hold some office hours via Zoom in this class. I'm going to have weekly ones on Tuesdays from 10 to 11 a.m. But you're welcome if those times don't work for you and you have questions. Shoot me an email, request a time, and we can meet on an individual Zoom lesson and go over things. Differential equations is a pretty cool class. It's one of my favorite classes to teach. So you'll hear a lot more about that in sort of the videos that introduce the start of our book, chapter 1. So I don't want to go into that now, but I do want to give you a sense of what to expect in terms of how things are going to be laid out. Every week, I'm going to be posting basically a checklist of assignments that you need to get through. We're going to be doing paper homeworks. So what I'm expecting is basically you'll do the homework. You will use your phone or a scanner to take pictures. I'll give you instructions and some tools that you can use with the first assignment, just so you're not totally lost in terms of what I'm looking for. But it's going to be pencil and paper homeworks, just like it might be in a face-to-face class. At this level of math, pencil and paper is really the only thing that makes sense. I don't think WebAssign is a very good option for a class like this. So we're skipping WebAssign. That means that you don't necessarily need to buy the expensive version of the book from the bookstore that includes WebAssign. So you can just get a used copy. I would like to warn you that there are ways of illegally obtaining the 10th edition of the book. And perhaps the 10th edition might be what we wind up using. So let me discourage you from illegally obtaining PDFs of the book. It's illegal. So definitely don't do that. You definitely don't want to go on Google and type in ZIL 10E PDF and see what pops up. There's lots of places out there, and they're totally free, whereas the book itself is very, very expensive. So definitely don't download the PDF of the book and use that in place of the expensive $120 version from the bookstore. So just keep that in mind. Don't download it. Don't download it. Okay. Don't download it. With that in mind, let me move on and give you a sense of how those assignments are going to actually be graded. So you'll do your paper homework assignments. You'll scan them and submit them online in our new Bright Space that takes the place of Blackboard online learning management system. So you'll submit your PDF there, and I'm going to grade them on a very coarse scale. Each assignment I'm going to grade basically out of 4 points. So you get 0 if you don't do it, you get 4 if you tried everything, and you get like 2 points if you half-ass it, and 3 points if you did most of the problems but maybe skipped a couple. The point is, I'm not going to be grading whether or not you get the answers correct. I'm grading on completion, essentially. So I want you to try all of the problems. I'll be posting solutions to the homeworks after the due date, so you can go back and check on your own if there was one you got stuck on that you couldn't get all the way through, you can go back after the fact and check out and figure out how to do those types of problems. So again, you're not going to get any feedback on the homework other than a raw point score, 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. But I will post homework solutions, and it's up to you to go back and check and see if any mistakes were made. We're going to use a similar policy for quizzes. I guess I should come down here to the grading policy. So homework is going to be a big chunk of your grade. It's going to be 20% of your grade in here. And quizzes are going to make up 10% of your grade. And those are also going to be graded on completion. You did it or you didn't do it. So it's going to be similar. I'll post the problems. You'll do it pencil and paper. You will scan them and submit them. And I will give you either a 0 or a 1. You did it or you didn't. And then I will post the solutions so you can go and check out what the answers are. And you can expect over the course of the semester, probably I'm going to shoot in the ballpark, maybe like 8-ish quizzes, hopefully. So that would kind of be the ballpark I'm shooting for. Not quite every week. We certainly won't have any during exam weeks, for example. But, roughly a quiz a week except for exam weeks, ballpark, with maybe 1 or 2 weeks off here and there. You'll have a small participation grade. That just is a way for me to try to keep on you guys to actually participate with the discussion board. There's not going to be much discussion in general. I found that students don't really like the discussion posts very much. So we'll have a minimal discussion post, maybe introduce yourselves so you can exchange contact information, get to know each other, and form study groups, things like that. And we will also be having a practice exam that is essentially just a dry run through to figure out how to use the software that we're going to be using when we take exams. So if you've taken a class with me or if you took a Calc 2 with me last semester, you will be familiar with the procedure we're going to use. All our math classes at CNM are required to use Respondus Monitor, which is basically a lockdown browser that will also record you while you're taking the exams. It's not ideal. It's not meant for pencil and paper exams, but that's what I'm going to use it for. So you'll see how that goes. We'll give you instructions, and we'll have a dry run through practice exam where we try that process so you can get a sense of how it's all going to work out. So keep that in mind. If you took the class with me last semester, Calc 2 last semester, then you'll know what to expect. It's going to be the same format. So don't worry about that too much. In the meantime, we'll come back to that. Probably week 2 is when I will give you that practice exam, and we'll try to make sure that you get it submitted then and work out any kinks that show up. Again, it's the use of Respondus Monitor is not my personal preference. I'd be totally happy to just give you take-home exams and trust that you're going to work on them on your own. But for transfer purposes, math classes have to have proctored exams. And so this is outside of my control. All the math classes at CNM we're all using this policy of these proctored online exams. They record you. It feels invasive. It's a pain in the butt. It's kind of a buggy experience. It's not ideal, but it's required. And just know that I'm not going to be, watching every second of every person's exam. It's mostly there as sort of a formality. So keep that in mind. But here is the grading setup, in terms of how much everything is worth. I mentioned a minute ago, homework is worth 20% of your grade. Quizzes are worth 10% of your grade. Participation is just going to be 5%. We're going to have 3 midterms worth 15% of your grade each, and then a final exam on the last week of classes that is cumulative and is worth 20%. And again, I mentioned here in the syllabus, homework is going to be graded out of 0 to 4, and I'm not checking whether your answers are right or wrong. I'm just checking whether you tried the problems. Similarly for quizzes, you did it or you didn't do it. So they're just going to be graded for completion. There's a schedule in here, a tentative schedule that'll give you a sense of which sections of the book we're covering when. Some weeks will be busier than others. There's a lot of material in this class, so it's going to feel hopefully not overwhelming, but you're gonna be busy. If you've made it through Calc 1 and Calc 2, you should have a sense of what the workload's going to look like. It's going to be similar. There's a lot. So with that in mind, expect probably a similar workload to like a Calculus 2 class. My hope is that between the videos that I'm going to post, so I'm going to post lecture videos to cover all the content that we're going to need in the class. Between watching those videos, which I'm going to design to be more or less the same length as an in-class lecture, probably an hour and 15 minutes-ish each, and covering, 2 or 3-ish of those a week, so probably 3-ish hours a week of lecture videos, maybe a little bit less. And then I would expect another maybe 5 hours a week of homework on top of that and plus the quiz, so maybe another half an hour for the quiz. You should expect somewhere in the ballpark of maybe at the low end 7 hours and at the high end maybe 9 or 10 hours for most people per week. So that's kind of what you can expect. During the weeks that we have exams, I won't assign any new homework. The only thing we'll focus on is the exam that week. We will have a review for the exam. It'll be a live Zoom lecture that people are welcome to attend. I will record them for people that can't attend. And that's going to kind of be the setup. So we're going to have this textbook. I would strongly encourage you guys to read the textbook. Not the PDF. Don't download the PDF. Do not type in Zill 10th edition PDF into Google and get that free PDF. Definitely don't do that. But I'd encourage you to read that PDF if you happen to have it. And primarily, though, I want you to watch the lecture videos. I'm going to just post them on YouTube. I'll have links to them. And if you watch those lecture videos, hopefully you won't actually need to read the textbook much. By design, I try to make my lectures use examples that aren't the ones from the textbook. So if you want additional examples, you can go look through the textbook to go through additional examples of problems. I try to do different problems in my lecture videos. So just keep that in mind. You can utilize kind of both resources. Between my lectures and the textbook, you should have most things covered. I also wanted to mention at the very end of the semester, there is one topic that our textbook doesn't cover that to me is one of the coolest and most interesting topics. So I'm going to throw in a section, basically a single lecture at the end of the semester. I'm mostly going to be pulling from a different textbook. You don't need to buy that textbook either, but I will post notes for you from that last book and create a lecture video for you for this one additional topic. So just know there's one topic that's not going to be in our textbook, but that will literally be like week 14, very close to the end of the semester, week 13, I guess. So keep that in mind. I think I hit all the important points that you guys actually care about. I do have the drop dates here in the syllabus. If you want to drop the class and it's like you never took it, and it's January 25th, basically 2 weeks after the class starts. And you can drop with a W as late as March 26th, and also change your grading option to audit or credit, no credit, or whatever you need if that comes up. What are the things I missed in here? So I already mentioned the textbook calculator. I'm going to let you use a calculator in class and on exams, but not a graphing calculator, just a scientific calculator, at least as far as exams are concerned. I want you to get comfortable and force yourself to make sure that you're still comfortable with some basic graphs. You're not going to need to do a ton of graphing, but I want you to have a basic sense of graphs. The calculator is not going to be required. I'm going to try to design my exams that you don't really need a calculator, but you're welcome to have it there as a crutch. A lot of people just like to have it. Makes them feel more confident when they jump into these problems. So have a calculator, any non-graphing calculator will work. And in fact, in the lockdown browser that we'll be using on the exams, I'll have a built-in calculator in the browser. So if you don't have one, you can still have access to one in the browser of your computer. They have changed this Respondus lockdown browser. So again, if if you took a math class last semester, things have changed a little bit. It now supposedly works. So previously, it only worked on Mac and Windows machines. They've updated it to also work on Chromebooks. So if you're using a Chromebook, it should work for the exams, and iPads as well. So mobile device like an iPad, it should work on that as well. So if you're using either of those will work to take the exam as well. I didn't have any students report any issues using those at least. So we'll see. Lastly, there is an attendance policy because this class is totally online, right? There's no class to come to. Our lectures are going to be totally asynchronous. I'm going to record them ahead of time. I'm going to post them. You can tune into them and watch them at your convenience. I would highly encourage you to utilize the built-in features that YouTube offers. You can watch videos. If you go down and click the little gear setting at the bottom of a video, you can watch a video at like 1.25 times speed. So speed it up by 25%. And luckily, it doesn't make me sound like a chipmunk. It just sounds like I'm talking really fast, like I drank too much coffee or something like that. So utilize that. You can get through the lectures faster. You can pause, go back. I would strongly encourage you to take your own notes as you watch the video lectures. So I'm going to be sitting there going through a lecture. I'm going to use a whiteboard. I'll be writing stuff down. Write it down too. Treat it like it was a face-to-face class and I was writing on the whiteboard. So that's what attending class is going to look like. But basically, just stay involved. I'm not going to drop you from the class if you stop attending, whatever that means, if you stop submitting work. So just know, if you stop logging in and stop working and miss exams and miss homeworks, you're just going to get an F. I'm not going to drop you for lack of attendance. So make sure that if you start to feel like you're falling behind, first get in touch with me. I'll try to work with you. Sometimes I know stuff is coming up. We're living in a crazy world right now. So if you get sick, if somebody else gets sick, if work gets crazy, I'll try to be as accommodating as possible. So get in touch with me before you just drop the class. But just know that I am not going to drop you from the class. If you have other questions about sort of the layout of the class, let me know. Shoot me an email, request a Zoom meeting with me, and we'll get something like that sorted out. But otherwise, I look forward to covering this material again. This is some cool stuff. You're finally going to actually put to use all the tools you've been building of integration and trigonometry and algebra and everything you've ever learned in math classes. It's finally going to kind of all be put together and used for solving real life problems in this class. And so hopefully you will wind up enjoying it as much as I enjoyed teaching it. So anyways, good luck this semester, and I'll see you guys on the other side.